When someone says something sharp, dismissive, rude, or unfair, it can feel as if the reaction happens before you even have a chance to choose. One moment you are fine. The next, the body tightens, the face changes, the voice becomes defensive, and the mind starts building its case. He always does this. She never listens. I cannot let this pass. This is disrespectful. And before you know it, you are no longer responding to the person in front of you. You are reacting from a triggered sense of me. This is where self-inquiry becomes very practical, not philosophical, not abstract, not something you only do while sitting quietly with your eyes closed. In real conflict, self-inquiry can help you catch the reaction at its root, before it becomes words, arguments, or emotional damage. In this video, we will look at how to use self-inquiry in the exact moment of conflict when you feel triggered, defensive, angry, hurt, or misunderstood. And the key is this: do not start by asking, "How do I stay calm?" Start by asking, "Who is the one being triggered?" That one shift can interrupt the whole pattern. Most people try to handle conflict at the surface level. They try to control their tone, breathe through it, avoid saying the wrong thing, and act maturely. And of course, all of that can help. But the deeper question is this: who is the I that feels attacked? Because conflict does not only trigger emotions, it triggers identity. The moment someone criticizes you, ignores you, disagrees with you, or challenges you, the mind creates a very strong feeling of me. I am being insulted. I am being judged. I am being treated unfairly. I need to defend myself. And that I feels so obvious that we rarely question it. But in Ramana Maharshi's method of self-inquiry, this is exactly where the practice begins. Not by fighting the anger, not by suppressing the hurt, not by pretending to be peaceful, but by turning attention toward the one who says, "I am angry." Who is angry? To whom has this reaction appeared? Who feels the need to defend? This is not meant as a clever mental question. It is not a debate with yourself. It is a turning of attention away from the story and back toward the felt sense of I. That is the moment where the trigger begins to lose its power. Let's make this very practical. Imagine someone speaks to you in a cold or disrespectful way. Immediately, there is a contraction in the body. The chest tightens, the stomach pulls in, the jaw locks. The thoughts start rushing. At this point, most people move straight into the story. Why did they say that? What is wrong with them? How dare they? What should I say back? But self-inquiry asks you to pause for just 1 second and notice something much more important. Before the story grows, there is a felt sense of I. I am hurt. I am angry. I am being attacked. Do not follow the anger outward. Turn attention inward and ask, to whom has this anger appeared? The answer will come naturally. To me. Then ask, who am I? But do not repeat, who am I, like a mantra. Do not expect a verbal answer. Just turn toward the sense of me that feels hurt. Where is this me? What is it made of? Is it the body sensation? Is it the angry thought? Is it the defensive voice in the mind? Or is it something you are aware of? This is the key. The reaction is seen. The anger is seen. The hurt is seen. The defensive thoughts are seen. So who is the one aware of them? Even a small glimpse of this can create space. And sometimes that space is enough to stop the trigger from becoming an argument. This does not mean you become passive. It does not mean you allow people to mistreat you. It does not mean you never speak up. Self-inquiry is not weakness. Actually, it can make your response much cleaner, because when you are not speaking from a wounded ego, you can say what needs to be said without adding extra poison. You can set a boundary without hatred, disagree without becoming aggressive, and answer the situation instead of defending a psychological self-image. That is a very different kind of strength. Now, there is one common mistake. Many people try to use self-inquiry to make the emotion disappear immediately. They feel anger, ask, "Who am I?" and then wait for the anger to vanish. When it does not vanish, they think the practice failed. But that is not the point. The point is to stop identifying with the anger, not to force it away. Anger may still be present. Heat may still be there. A strong impulse to speak may still be there. But you begin to notice, this is anger appearing in awareness. This is not what I fundamentally am. This recognition is where self-inquiry cuts the chain. The usual sequence goes, someone says something, a feeling appears, the mind says, "I am angry," a story forms, the story becomes speech, and speech creates consequences. Self-inquiry cuts that chain at the point of I. Who is angry? Who is hurt? Who needs to win? When attention turns toward that I, the reaction loses some of its fuel. Not always completely, not perfectly, but enough to create a choice. And that choice is the beginning of freedom. Here is a simple 3-step practice you can use in conflict. Step 1. Notice the trigger in the body. The body often notices the trigger before the mind admits it. Tight jaw, fast heartbeat, heat in the face, pressure in the chest, a sharp urge to interrupt. The moment you notice this, silently say, "A trigger has appeared." Not, "I am triggered," just, "A trigger has appeared." That small change already creates distance. Step 2. Ask, to whom has this appeared? Do not analyze the other person. Do not rehearse your comeback. Just ask inwardly, to whom has this appeared? The answer is, to me. Then gently turn attention toward this me, not as a thought, but as a felt sense. The one who feels attacked, the one who wants control, the one who wants to be seen as right. Step 3. Rest as the awareness that sees the reaction. After asking, "Who am I?" do not keep asking again and again mechanically. Simply stay with the sense of being aware. You are aware of the trigger. You are aware of the body. You are aware of the emotional charge. You are aware of the thoughts. So remain as that awareness for just a moment. Even one breath can change the direction of the whole conversation. You may still need to speak, but now your words can come from a quieter place. You may say, "Let me think about that for a moment," or "I do not agree, but I hear what you are saying," or "Can we slow this down?" These are not spiritual phrases, they are practical phrases. They give awareness time to become stronger than the trigger. Conflict becomes dangerous when the ego feels it must respond instantly. But most of the time, instant reaction is not wisdom, it is conditioning. Self-inquiry helps you see that conditioning while it is happening. That is why this practice is so powerful in relationships, because the people closest to us usually trigger the deepest patterns. A stranger can insult you, and you may forget it in 5 minutes. But if your partner, family member, colleague, or close friend says the wrong thing, the reaction can feel much bigger. Why? Because the I involved is more personal. I am not appreciated. I am not respected. I am not loved. I am being rejected. These old identity patterns can wake up very quickly. In that moment, the conflict is no longer only about what was said. It becomes about the self-image that feels threatened. This is why two people can argue for 30 minutes about a small comment. The comment is small. The identity behind it is huge. Self-inquiry does not ask you to blame yourself for this. It asks you to see it clearly. When the feeling of I becomes very strong, that is not a failure. That is the doorway. The trigger is showing you exactly where identification is active. Not when you are calm, not when the room is quiet, not when everyone agrees with you, but when the ego feels squeezed, when the mind wants to defend, when the body wants to react, when the old pattern says, I know exactly what to do. That is the moment to pause and ask, who is this I? Now, let's be honest. You will not always remember. Sometimes you will react. Sometimes you will speak too quickly. Sometimes you will only remember self-inquiry 5 minutes after the conflict. That is still useful. Do not turn this into another reason to judge yourself. If you remember after the argument, inquire then. Sit quietly and ask, who was hurt? Who needed to win? Who wanted to be right? What was I protecting? Then trace the feeling of I back inward. This kind of after-conflict inquiry is very valuable. You may discover that the anger was covering fear, or that the defensiveness was covering shame, or that the need to win was covering a deeper feeling of not being heard. But do not get lost in analysis. Whatever emotion appears, ask, to whom does this appear? And return to the one aware of it. The goal is not to build a better emotional story. The goal is to see that all stories appear to awareness. Another important point, self-inquiry does not mean you ignore practical action. If someone is abusive, manipulative, or unsafe, you may need distance, boundaries, or help. Spiritual practice should never be used to tolerate harmful behavior. But even then, self-inquiry can help you act from clarity instead of panic. You may still leave the room. You may still say no. You may still protect yourself. The difference is that action comes from awareness, not from blind reaction. This matters because conflict often leaves residue. Even after the conversation ends, the mind continues arguing. You replay what they said. You imagine what you should have said. You win imaginary arguments in your head. When the conflict continues in the mind, ask, to whom does this replay appear? Then return to the silent awareness in which the replay is appearing. The mind may restart the argument 10 times. Fine. Each time, return. Not aggressively, not with frustration, just return. This is how the habit weakens, not by one dramatic breakthrough, but by repeated non-identification. The same trigger may appear again tomorrow. The same person may push the same button. The same pattern may arise. But each time you notice it and turn inward, the identity around it becomes weaker. The anger may still come, but it does not own you as completely. The defensiveness may still come, but it does not speak through you as quickly. The story may still come, but you see it as a story. That is real progress in daily life. And from the Advaita point of view, even this progress belongs to the apparent person. Your real nature, awareness itself, was never angry, never wounded, never improved, and never damaged. But on the practical level, this recognition changes how life is lived. It changes how conversations happen. It changes how quickly you recover. It changes whether conflict becomes another unconscious pattern or another doorway back to the self. So the next time someone triggers you, do not try to become a perfect spiritual person. Do not pretend you are calm. Do not suppress the emotion. Notice the trigger. Ask, to whom has this appeared? Turn toward the me that feels attacked. Then rest, even briefly, as the awareness that sees the whole reaction. In every conflict, the power is in noticing the I that feels attacked and letting that noticing be enough. That pause may last only 1 second, but 1 second of awareness can prevent 10 minutes of unconscious speech. If you want to see how the same inquiry works on habits, not just conflict, watch the next video. Self-inquiry stops habits. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.